Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. It's your host, Dr. Morgan. Thank you for your positive responses to the episode that came out on Monday. I felt like that was a little bit more vulnerable episode and some personal shares in there. So it means the world to me when you let me know that an episode was helpful. That's why I do what I do. I want to help as many people as possible heal and have secure attachment. So I'm so happy you're here. Today's episode will be a short one, but it will be powerful. And this is for you if you've ever felt trapped in your own thoughts, if you've ever been questioning your worth, you've been fearing abandonment, if you found yourself in the spiral of feeling like you're sabotaging all of your relationships and blaming yourself and getting down on yourself, if you've ever been stuck, or maybe you're there right now and you're feeling so stuck in your patterns, this episode is for you. I'm talking about how can we stop our insecure attachment spirals in their tracks. How can we intentionally rewire our brains for secure attachment? How do we step into peace, abundance, a regulated nervous system, step into relationships that feel good and life-giving and reciprocal and the life that we so deserve, right? We're going to talk about how do we stop those spirals and spend more time in our securely attached place. I want you to know this. No matter where you are right now in your healing journey, you are so worthy of healthy love, of emotionally available, consistent, securely attached love that gets better with time. You are so worthy of it. And I want you to sit in that and know it and feel it in your bones. And I need you to know this truth that no matter what you have experienced in the past, whatever past relational trauma, maybe you have been cheated on. Maybe you've been the person that has cheated on people. Maybe you have experienced tragic loss. You've had the death of a loved one. Maybe you've had crippling anxiety or depression or PTSD. Maybe you have been through a relationship that no matter what you did, you couldn't get the other person to show up and do the work with you. Maybe you've been through divorce. Whatever you have been through in your past, it does not have to determine your present or future. We can always decide that we get to have healthy, loving, fulfilling, securely attached relationships. I need you to know that your past relational trauma does not determine your present or future relationships. If you can write that down, I would encourage you write that down. You want to say, my past relational trauma does not determine my present or future relationships. I can decide to have happy, healthy, loving, securely attached relationships. I need you to know that truth. Okay. And I want to share a story with you. There was a time in my life where I was in just a horrible place in terms of my nervous system, in terms of my attachment patterns, the types of partners that I was attracted to. And I'm specifically thinking of this time when I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I found myself in unhealthy relationship after unhealthy relationship. And I was constantly in fight or flight mode. And in particular, there was this one scenario where it was Valentine's Day and, it's coming up on Valentine's Day. So I'm thinking about this. It was around Valentine's Day and I was so attracted to this guy. I so badly wanted to make it work. And he was definitely avoidantly attached, definitely going through stuff of his own. And I kid you not, he would so inconsistently text me. I mean, I had all the evidence that this was not a reciprocal relationship. This was not a good relationship. Yet I had this unhealed part of me, right? It was the repetition compulsion. You hear me talk about that. It was this whole part of my brain going, I just know that I can make this work. I can prove that I'm good enough. I can get this guy to choose me. I won't name any names. Um, I can get him to choose me if I'm good enough and if I try enough and if I can just be enough of a cool girl and not have too many emotions, right? And I remember it's Valentine's Day. He had let me know we were going to spend Valentine's Day together. We were going to cook dinner together. I went on my, grad school salary that I had, which by the way was like $16,000 a year to live on in Portland, Oregon. So I was completely broke. But I went to Whole Foods. I got this like pasta that was super fancy. I picked up this super fancy bottle of wine and I had this cute outfit on. I'd done my hair, I'd done my makeup. I'm sitting in the kitchen. I'm so ready to make this Valentine's Day dinner. And in my head, I'm telling the story of, oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing. Hopefully, we're going to talk about what's happening as I'm planning, because it was during the time I was planning to, I know I was going to move to San Diego in like 8 months. And I was like, we're going to talk about that. And he's going to be ready to move to San Diego with me. And we're going to start our lives together. And I had all of these stories going on in this narrative. And what happened? I'm sitting in the kitchen. I get no text. No, I'm so sorry. I can't make it. But this person does not show up. What do? I do the absolute worst thing someone could do. I decide to drink the entire bottle of wine because in my past, I did use alcohol in an unhealthy way. While I was never dependent, I wouldn't define myself as an alcoholic. I absolutely misused alcohol in my past. So I drank the entire bottle of wine. I went to bed and I sobbed and I cried. And if you had walked in on me in that moment, you would have thought that someone had died. You would have thought that I had just received the worst news of my life. I was in complete devastation, right? And this was because what was happening was matching up with the beliefs that I had about myself. And it matched up with my insecure attachment patterns and my disorganized attachment style. And this whole narrative of being abandoned, being betrayed, not being good enough, not worthy of love. And I know that I went to this deep, dark place that I just felt like I just can't live like this. I really was experiencing those feelings of, I don't think I want to be alive if this is what it is. I was so deeply, deeply impacted by this experience, right? And hitting rock bottom, spiraling. I know that I was hungover for days. And here's the sad part. When he eventually did reach out to me, I believed whatever lie he told me at the time. And I know that I continued on in that relationship. It wasn't until there was something really, really blatant that happened, and it was just absolutely crystal clear that I couldn't be in this relationship, that I got out of that relationship. And this example I'm telling you, this is how a lot of my relationships went, where I was accepting things way below my standards. I was not listening to my needs. I was not expressing myself. I was doing whatever I thought I had to do to try to make the relationship work. And I was in a ton of emotional pain, right? So I don't know if any of you listening, if you relate to this story, but this is an example of the spiral. This is an example of me being at my absolute lowest. And if you would have told that version of me that this is where my life was going, and you would have shown me this future version of myself, I would have had a very, very hard time believing you. So I tell you this story because I want to inspire you. No matter how much of a quote unquote shit show you think your current dating life is, no matter what's going on, you can always heal. You can always get to a place where you are securely attached. You know, as I shared on Monday's episode, I was just looking at wedding dresses this past weekend, and I can tell you, I had absolute certainty and secure attachment to my partner, and just so much gratitude for the person that I'm marrying, and feeling so loved and supported and secure in my relationship, that really the difficult emotions that came up for me were more about not having my mom in this process. I can tell you that I wish the security that I have with my partner and the love that I feel and our secure attachment that we have, I wish that for everyone, because here's the truth. Life is hard enough, right? Like life in terms of wanting to build the career that you want, wanting to create all the things that you want in your world, such as amazing friendships and traveling and designing your plans for giving back to the world and being of service, and how are you going to retire, right? I mean, there's so many things in life that need our energy. I really feel for people where your relationship life, whether you're in a relationship, single, dating, where your relationship life is stealing from you instead of giving to you. Your intimate partner, the person that you decide to build your life with, they should be like your most solid person. They should be the person that you go to and you feel relief and you feel support and you feel calm, and they help you. They don't do it for you, but they help you regulate your nervous system, right? You are so deserving of secure attachment, relationships that add value to your life. We need securely attached relationships in our life to navigate the storms and to navigate the dreams that we have, right? It's not just about the hard things we go through, it's also about the risks that we're willing to take, the business that you're trying to build, the career pivot that you're trying to do, the nonprofit that you'd love to start, or that trip you want to take around the globe, right? It's like when you have securely attached support in your life, it also helps open you up to all the big things you want to go do in the world. And you are so, so deserving of partnership that is securely attached and supportive. Maybe you've been listening to this podcast for a while. Maybe you've been following me and you've heard me talk about the Empowered Secure Love program. I want you to know that it's normal to have resistance. It's normal to think, oh my gosh, not for me, not right now. But you need to hear this. Your results don't change until you change. And when we make a powerful decision to show up differently, that's when we get different results. You attracting your emotionally available, ideal partner is on the other side of you taking action. And I know this, my life changed when I had support, when I had accountability, and when I worked with my own coach. And now I want to help you become securely attached. And I want you to know that you don't have to do it alone. You deserve support and you deserve a proven framework. So that's why this January, I am doing something really, really special. I'm doing this offer that is your decision which bonus you want. So you get to come into the Empowered Secure Love program, and maybe it is that you want a bonus month in the program. You want an extra 4 weeks to access coaching. Maybe it is that you would love a discount, that finances are tough for you, and right now you would really benefit from a discount. Maybe you are like, let's go. I want the extra course material. I know, Dr. Morgan, you have so many juicy bonuses when it comes to courses. I want the Boundaries Queen audio course that's all about setting boundaries. I want access to the Breakup Academy. It's all about how do I deeply, deeply heal from past relationships. Maybe that's more your vibe. This January, you get to decide what bonus is best for you. So, right now is one of the best times to join because you get to start the year with momentum, with knowing that you are taking action to become your securely attached self so you can then attract that emotionally available partner. You're so deserving of doing this work. To get started, all you have to do is apply to the Empowered Secure Love Program. You can do that just by clicking the link in the show notes. It's a 2-minute application process, and you're so deserving of taking this step, my friend. I'm cheering you on. I'm sending you so much love. Go to the link in the show notes to apply to the program today. And like I was sharing earlier, I never thought that was possible for me. When I was in the midst of those really toxic, unhealthy dating patterns when I was living in Portland, Oregon and going to grad school at that time, I just pretty much had given up, right? Like I just thought this is what relationships are. But I need you to know you are so deserving of a relationship that when people look at it, they go, I want a relationship like that. I want to be like that couple. They're so loving. They're so kind. They support each other. They have each other's back. They are each other's safe place. When they go through disagreements, they always work through it, right? You are deserving of having that kind of relationship. And of course, I believe this, that you're deserving of stopping the generational trauma patterns in your family. You're deserving of being the one to say, hey, in our family, we have healthy, secure, loving relationships. We have open, honest, direct communication. We set boundaries. We are also vulnerable with one another. We are each other's biggest fans, biggest support, and we also know how to gently challenge each other. And we have the kinds of relationships that help people live their best life. I don't think this gets talked about enough with secure attachment. And this is one of the reasons I think Warren Buffett says choosing your life partner is your most important decision. Who you marry is your most important decision. He has said many times that he wouldn't be who he is. He wouldn't have created what he's created if it wasn't for the partner that he had. Like with secure attachment, with healthy relationships, with choosing the right person for you and having those healthy relationship standards and learning how to say no to the things that are below your standards, right? With all of that, you are also saying yes to the life and future that you deserve, that is your highest and best self, not just in love, but in all areas of your life. But when you get the love piece wrong, when you get the relationship piece wrong, it makes everything else in your life feel nearly impossible and like an uphill battle. When I think about the times when I was in a toxic relationship and I was trying to complete my doctorate in clinical psychology, and I was in a really unhealthy relationship, when I was in San Diego and I was finishing my dissertation, completing my postdoc, I felt like I was having to drag myself through the mud, through quicksand. Everything felt hard. I know that I was deeply depressed. I had my disorganized attachment style in full swing. I had no energy, and everything in my life was challenging. Also, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? But one of the things that really did not help was the relationship that I was in. I did not feel supported in my partnership. And I'm not blaming that person. I was a big part of it. I was a huge part of why I felt the way that I did during that time. But it was also the person that I had attracted. And then the relationship dynamic, we created was not only toxic to each other, but it was toxic to both of us in terms of it impacted us in not being able to live up to our highest and best selves. It prevented each of us from operating at our highest and best selves because it was this toxic, unhealthy foundation that impacted all areas of our lives. So I want you to really get that healing your relationships, getting to a place where you attract a securely attached relationship, you have an emotionally available partner, you yourself are also emotionally available, and you are intentionally creating the type of relationship you deserve. Yes, it's about love, but it's also about your life. It's also about your potential. It's also about what are you here to do on this planet? Will you have a partner that helps you create that highest and best version of you? And if the answer is, I'm not sure if I'm doing that, I'm in a relationship, but I don't know if it's that, I want you to know you're so deserving of figuring it out. You're so deserving of doing the work that will help you know, okay, well, am I creating a securely attached relationship? When that falls into place, everything else falls into place. I'm a huge believer of when I was able to release my past relational trauma, regulate my nervous system, become securely attached, and create empowering beliefs about myself and about relationships, everything else in my life fell into place. At the core, those were the things that needed to change for me. Okay. So I want to encourage you, no matter where you're at, you're deserving of doing the work. You are deserving of a partner that wants to do the work with you. And I just want you to know that it's so possible for you. It's never too late. You're never too broken. It is so, so possible for you. And I want to give you a tool today. I was like, what can I do that's going to help you in the moment? Because it's easy when we're spiraling. Maybe we're feeling triggered by something. We go into an anxious attachment spiral, or maybe it's an avoidant attachment spiral and you're going into your hyper independent mode. You don't need anybody, forget relationships, right? Or you're just like, I just give up. I don't have the energy. I give up. It's not going to happen for me. Like whatever type of spiral you're in, I have a tool that can help you. It's this acronym, and I'm calling this the STOP method. The STOP method. Okay. STOP. And I'm going to define each letter for you. And this is very simple. Number one, when you are spiraling, you need to pause and breathe. So stop and breathe. This is so important. And here's the deal. A lot of us struggle with this because we're not even connected to ourselves enough to notice when we're spiraling. So I would say one of the things you need to do is you need to start intentionally connecting to yourself so that you can notice when you're spiraling and you can catch it as early as possible. The earlier you catch a spiral, the easier it is to stop, right? If I can catch it when it's a baby spiral, when the thoughts are just starting to form, or I'm noticing, oh my gosh, I maybe slightly overreacted to something. I think I need to really tune in. Catch your spiral as early as you can. And then once you notice it, I want you to stop and breathe. That's the first step. Pause. I want you to take 5 deep breaths all the way down into your stomach and just notice how you're feeling. Okay. The next step, the T of this acronym, it's ST, is this: talk to yourself with self-compassion. I say this a million gazillion times, and I think people hear me, but then they don't actually do it. I think they're like, oh yeah, compassion, compassion, but then you're not actually doing it. So I want to invite you, if you're one of those people where you're like, yeah, Dr. Morgan, I know, I'm supposed to be nice to myself, talk with myself with compassion, etc. And if you haven't actually done it, this is your chance. Okay. So step 2, talk to yourself with self-compassion. So you want to use self-soothing, affirming language that validates what you are feeling. So, whatever is going on in the spiral, you want to acknowledge it, you want to validate it, and then you want to remind yourself that you can reframe what is happening. Because when we are in our spirals, we are oftentimes completely disconnected from reality, right? We have a narrative that our brain is telling us. We have these thought patterns that are rooted in fear, that are rooted in trauma, and they're not rooted in reality. So we have to reframe what's going on. So I'm being compassionate, and then I'm just going to acknowledge, wow, these thoughts that are showing up, this is an example of my attachment style. This is an example of my old wounded narrative that I have about relationships, right? You could say something like, this is simply my attachment style showing up. This does not define me. This is not who I am. Okay. So that's an example of talking to yourself with compassion, trying to connect to the reality of what's going on. Okay. And then for the O, this is where we're going to get curious and we're going to observe our thoughts. So O is for observe your thoughts. So you want to be curious, right? And you might not do this in the moment. You might say, I need to journal on this. I want to get curious. What was coming up for me? Why is this happening? In order to heal, we have to go to the root of your relational trauma. I feel like I'm a broken record. I say this all the time, but we have to go to the roots. And the only way you go to the roots is you have to be curious. You have to observe. You have to be willing to reflect. And by doing that, slowly over time, you will become so much more aware and you will have dealt with things at the root. So then things are no longer popping up, right? So, observe your thoughts. What's going on? You might ask yourself something like, does this situation remind me of something from my past? Is this situation for a familiar relationship dynamic? If so, what dynamic does it remind me of? We're going to ask these questions. We want to grow through our triggers, right? Okay. Finally, step number 4, the P in this acronym is I want you to take one small, secure action. What is one securely attached thing that you can do? And it's important to take action because our behaviors also support us in rewiring our thoughts, and they help us start to see ourselves differently. When we have different behaviors, it's really helping our identities shift. So I want you to think about what is one small, securely attached action that you can take. Just plan one secure action. Remember this, even one small step, no matter how small it seems, that is a step closer to your securely attached identity. This could be, okay, I'm going to text a friend and ask for support. My securely attached self knows that I'm deserving of support. So I'm going to text my friend. Whatever the securely attached action is, you're going to plan to take it and you're going to do it because obviously these behavior changes only work when we actually follow through, and your identity can only start to change when your behaviors and your thoughts are actually changing. So you're going to plan it, you're going to follow through. If you're like me, a lot of times you have to write it in your calendar to make it happen. You have to plan, when are you going to do it? What are the steps that you need to prepare? And you're going to put it in your calendar and you're going to do it. Okay. So let's review this 4-step process real quick. Once again, the acronym is STOP. So anytime you're having an insecure attachment spiral, whether it's anxious, avoidant, disorganized attachment, any of those styles, and you find yourself feeling triggered or you're in a difficult spot, you're going to use this acronym, and it's STOP. And the first letter S stands for stop and breathe. You're pausing, you're taking deep, deep breaths. You're going to tune inwards. And the second step for T is talk to yourself with self-compassion. We talked a lot about this. This is so important. Step number 3 is O for observe your thoughts. You're going to use this to help you heal. Instead of being judgmental, instead of saying, oh my gosh, why am I reacting this way? It's so inconvenient that I'm having this emotional response. You're going to be curious. You're going to have questions about why this is happening, and you're going to use this to help you grow. And then the final step, step number 4, is P. You're going to plan one small, securely attached action. It doesn't have to be big. It can simply be, like I said, asking for support. But you're going to plan an action that your securely attached self would take, and you're going to make sure that you take it. So I hope that you use this framework to help you if you're experiencing an insecure attachment spiral. And of course, I just want you to know that you can come back to this anytime. This framework is super simple, so hopefully you could write it down and remember it. I am cheering you on. Okay, use this. Let me know how it goes. I would love for you to screenshot this episode, share it to your stories on Instagram, and tag me at Dr. Morgan Coaching. I love it when you guys show me where you're listening. Maybe you're on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, I love it. I would love to see us also take a photo of the YouTube and put that on Instagram. I just love connecting with this community. So please, please, please don't be afraid to tag me, reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Morgan Coaching. And I wanted to also remind you, some of you may not know this, I do have a best-selling book on Amazon, and we have a 4.9 star rating. So many amazing reviews on there. You guys love this book. The book is called Love Magnet. Get off the dating roller coaster and attract the love you deserve. This book is experiential. Yes, it's engaging. Yes, I tell you juicy stories from my dating past. In the first chapter, I'm telling you about the time I was chasing a Pepsi delivery truck down the street. It's super engaging and it's super actionable. There's so many exercises and things you can do. So I know you'll love the book. I will put the link in the show notes. You can grab it on Amazon. I think it's $15 and you can have it delivered. I do highly recommend the book if you've been loving the podcast. Okay. I am wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I will talk to you next time.